When you board a commercial airliner, you're probably pretty happy that the pilot doesn't procrastinate. Imagine this. You're out on the active runway. American 1624, you are cleared for immediate departure. Winds 180 at 5 knots. No delay, Alaska 737 on 2-mile final. American 1624, we're rolling. If your pilot procrastinated, you could end up dead. Now, come on, Kevin. My procrastination has never hurt anyone, and I have never killed anyone with it. Well, probably not. I'll take you at your word. But has it caused you frustration, aggravation, cost you money and time? How about those around you? Today I'm going to share with you 2 stories, an accolade, and I'm going to give you a surefire way to overcome your procrastination. So let's get started. My first story is about my friend Jim. We've been friends all our lives, known each other since we were 18 years old. And Jim is a licensed contractor. He approached me a couple years back and he said, "Kevin, I got to tell you this story. I'm embarrassed to do so. The only way I'm going to tell you this story is if you promise to use it in one of those talks that you do." I'm embarrassed to tell you this story because you, my friend, are not wired this way at all. I got the renewal for my contractor's license in the mail. I took a look at it and I pitched it over into the corner, you know, in that pile of papers that everyone keeps except you, my friend. Well, by the time I got back around to going through that pile, my heart sank. You see, I had missed the renewal date. So I got on the phone to the license board. They told me, "You're out of luck. The time had lapsed and there isn't a grace period." So I had to start the licensing process all over again. I had to fill out an application, and with that application, I had to send them a big check. Once the application was approved, but before I even thought about testing, I enrolled on one of those online licensing schools. And you know, they took my credit card number and they used that like the village bike. Every week I was online, they took my credit card for a ride. I finally tested. I passed the test. But before that license board would issue my license, I had to send them another check. My procrastination cost me time, money, and a lot of aggravation. You would have never allowed that to happen. I don't know where you learned to overcome procrastination. Well, I started to think about what Jim had told me, and how is it that I overcome procrastination? Pretty easily. I got all the way back to 1967 and my paper route. Now, that's back when you got the real news, and it was delivered to you by kids like me. Every afternoon I'd get home from school and there'd be a bundle of papers sitting in my driveway. I'd sit in my garage and I'd fold them up and put a rubber band around them, and then I'd set that bike up against the garage wall. Now, I had a large paper route. I had 80 papers, which was considered to be very big. I'd stuff the bags. I had bags over the handlebar and bags over the seat. And inevitably, that bike would topple over from the imbalance and the weight. And that's when those voices would start. "Ooh, what are you doing this for? You're only in the 5th grade. You don't need to do this. Why don't you go inside and watch Bugs Bunny?" But somehow, I'd overcome those voices. I'd get those bags loaded and I'd get on that bike and I'd wobble down the driveway from the weight. And that's when the voices would start again. "Oh, why don't you not deliver these papers? You don't want to have to ride around all these streets. Let the paper company deliver their own papers." But I'd get onto the street and I'd head down to my first stop, my first client's house. Now, when you deliver the paper, there's an art to it. You see, back in the 60s, people didn't have automatic garage door openers. So what you would do is you would aim for the center of the garage door so the paper would drop just below the handle. That way, when your client came home from work and they went to open their garage door, they could see that their paper had been delivered. They'd pick it up, pull their car in the garage. Everybody's happy. I approached my first house. I pulled out my first paper. I cocked my arm and I let that sucker go. Bam! Dead center in the garage door, straight down under the handle. Success! Wow! And that is how you overcome procrastination. Now, I know, stick with me. You see, I had 80 papers. That gave me 80 opportunities for a success and that great joy and that great feeling that accomplishment brings you. At 80 papers a day, 7 days a week, for 365 days a year. As a small boy, I was exposed to over 22,000 successful experiences. I got addicted to it. If you want to overcome procrastination, you have to be like the paper boy and the ant. Oh, wait a second, Kevin, where are you going with this? The ant. I'm going to tell you. How does an ant eat an elephant? One bite at a time. The ant does not walk up to the elephant and go, "Oh my God, this thing is huge. I can't even start on this." No, because without thought or reservation, the ant only knows one thing: I'm hungry. So without any hesitation, the ant reaches out and takes his first bite. When you want to overcome procrastination in your life, you have to take your first bite. But don't overwhelm yourself. If you want to paint the house, don't say, "My goodness, this weekend I'm going to paint the house." You're setting yourself up for failure. Why don't you say, "This weekend I'm going to paint the back bedroom," or "This weekend I'm going to paint the second bathroom." And do that task, complete it, and then stand back and relish in the success and the joy that it brings you. Out in the garden, I need to weed the yard. No, you don't. You need to weed the planter. Get the planter complete, and then sit back and say, "Wow, I feel good about that accomplishment." That, my friends, is how you're going to overcome your procrastination. Napoleon Hill said, "Procrastination is the bad habit of putting off for the day after tomorrow what you should have done the day before yesterday." You are cleared for immediate departure from your procrastination. And let the winds of joy and the feeling of success and accomplishment lift you above your procrastination forever.